How's it going, everyone? We're back with another weekly watch list. Thank you so much for watching, clicking the video. Appreciate your support. Hope you all had a good weekend so far, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, sacrificing for children. Celebrate your moms today if you got one. They're not going to be around forever. So, all right, into the watch list this week. This is a couple hours after the whole Trump-China, trade deal. So really looking forward to seeing how the S&P futures, and the NASDAQ, of course, open up tonight. So that's going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. So we'll see how these supply zones hold up. All right, so let's get right into the watch list. We are here on ES. We're on the 30-minute time frame. So we got a bit of supply here. We have this first 30-minute supply zone that we've already started to reject out of at the end of the day, Friday. If we take a minute just to look at that 5-minute, we had this 30-minute marked out. We got close to it here, rejected around lunch, which I was watching this, but my rules do have me walking away from the market at 12, and it was just too far away. It just was a little bit more of a gamble than anything. But as you can see, because this is what I want to see. I was obviously not active in the market at this time on Friday, but this is what you want to see heading into a supply zone. This type of confirmation, these upper wicks here on the 5-minute. I believe it was even better on the 2-minute. It doesn't get much better than that. Here's your first sign. Okay, this supply zone is working. You now have a defined risk. You can get short on this candle here. I mean, Doji is just another obvious sign hey, it is time to get short now. But this is not a trade review video. This is simply just a watch list. So I'll be watching the supply zone first. Over the supply zone, we have another supply zone on the hourly. All kinds of stuff going on here. We have this hourly supply zone. And then inside this hourly, as you can see, we have another hourly supply zone. And like I just mentioned, that 30-minute supply zone. We also have another 30-minute supply zone in that 1 hour here. So just really, I'm not looking at longs in this zone. I'm kind of hoping that the Trump tariff trade deal with China news kind of busts through the supply. And this is all inside of a daily supply as well. If we go to the daily chart on ES, I just removed the marking from it as we created this new fresh supply. But this daily supply zone right here at 57.39, 57.40, all the way up to this top here, 57.82, this is a very clear supply zone, which as you can see, we already rejected once out of, rejected twice, and now rejecting a third time. So we'll see how it holds up. As far as demand go, I do have this 15 demand here that we already bounced once. And then below that, I have the FOMC low. I have no other demand zones other than potentially this one here at 55.35. We will see. Next would be this gap in 3-hour demand all the way down here. So let's go over to SPY. SPY is going to look really similar with all the supply. We have this 1-hour supply zone. In that 1-hour supply zone, we have another 30-minute supply zone. And then we also have another 30-minute supply zone underneath it as well. So in the 1 hour, we have another 30-minute. We have the white line, which is the previous day high as well, already in that supply. And again, this 30-minute supply zone, which we already rejected out of as well. So I'm going to be very cautious at longs in this area. If we get over this supply, we have another previous day high here at 570.24. And then above that, 570.93. So ideally, we get over all of this is 570.93, 571, and push up into our next supply zone up here at 573 to 576. And that is also going to be on the daily in 4 hours. So if we look at the daily here, this supply zone here, that would be the next area of liquidity that I have. Let's head over to SPX. So SPX, as you know, I just marked previous day high, previous day low, as well as any gaps and fibs. So we're in this range here, very close to the previous day low. So shorts would have to be under 56.35 down to 5600. Over the previous day high, we have 5700 just above, and then above that 5720. So, there is an argument to be made that if we get over this previous day high, we move up to the next level here at 5720. But again, with that supply zone on SPY, I'm not going to be longing in supply zones. I don't short in demand zones. I'd rather just wait for those to clear. I've been burned too many times. Right? So ideally, we get over this 57.20 and move up to the next level at 57.32 and so on, right? Next big area on SPX. Honestly, we have these fibs here, but I'm probably going to get rid of the 70 here, just keep the 78. So that would be on the chart for sure. But if we get above 5,700 with strength, we get over this level here. I mean, it looks like a nice move up to 5,800. Let's go over to NQ and QQQ. Again, I'm not going to be showing IWM on these watch lists anymore. I do not trade it. I do mark the levels daily, but I don't know when I'll stop that too, honestly. At some point, it's inevitable. So on QQQ, we have, I'm sorry, this is NQ. We have 1 hour supply. So if we go to the 1 hour, we have this 1 hour supply zone here. Again, in this 1 hour supply, we came up, we rejected it immediately and made another 1 hour supply and 30-minute supply. So in that 1 hour supply zone, we have a 30-minute supply zone with the wick here as well. Probably going to want to mark the wick out here. Let me just double check. I probably deleted it for a reason. Like if we had like some sort of like 15-minute close above it. If not, then I'll put it on the chart. Nope, we wicked it each time. So I am going to put that back on the chart. So we have this 30-minute wick here. So I'll bring this down. This is just how I mark my supply zones, as you've seen many times in these watch list videos. I just do a red dotted line. That's going to be our 30-minute body, our 30-minute wick. And then again, we have that 1 hour supply zone in it as well. But I'm not going to be marking the wick of that anymore or the body. The 30-minute looks a little bit cleaner. And then again, that other 30-minute supply zone that we just made coming out of this supply zone here is going to be here, right? So we have our 30-minute body, 30-minute wick. Again, we got very close on NQ, started moving back down. As far as demand goes, I have that 15-minute demand as well on NQ, just under 20,000 as well. So really 20,000, that whole psych number. Obviously, we already wicked it really nicely and the demand zone. I'll be watching that. Below that, I just have the FOMC low. And then as far as underneath that, I have this possible pivot here and 19,465. And then below that, next demand, I don't have till we're all the way down here, same as ES. So it'd be a good bit down. Above these supply zones, I have my next supply, this daily and 4 hour supply, up here at 2532 to 2428. Okay. And that's going to be on the daily as well, just like ES. And it's very clear to see, right? We have our daily supply up here. Hold on one moment. I want to double check. Because these are old levels. So sometimes the way that I mark zones has changed. So bear with me. Let me see here. If we go to the 4 hour, let me actually real quick look at it on the lower time frame, 4 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour real quick because the daily just didn't look that clear. But if we go to the 4 hour, it's definitely more clear on the 4 hour. It's going to be this small green candle here, this large aggressive move here. That's really what we're going to be looking for, the wick in the body of this candle. So I'm just going to change this from daily to 4 hour. That makes a lot more clear sense. Maybe it was a typo when I first made it. Again, this zone is all the way from the end of March, so it's been a while since we've been up at this point. So things have changed since then. And lastly, we'll go look at QQQ. My main strategy, guys, comes down to, like, I have these supply and demands, but like mainly it's the previous day high, previous day low, pre-market high, pre-market low. I traded break and retest. I use the 13, 48, and 200 EMA for alignment. Ideally, when I get a break and retest of a level, I'm looking for a reaction of the 13 EMA with it as backup. Sometimes it's the 48 EMA on deeper pullbacks. And that's really it. I keep it extremely, extremely simple. At this point, my biggest struggle in my trading is if you look at all my TradeZella data, it's just my losses being bigger than my wins. And it's not even so much that my losses are large. My losses average about 7 to 15%. Obviously, I've had larger losses than that, but they're very far and few between at this stage in my journey. But my winners are even smaller. I mean, my winners have recently and for a long time have been averaging half the size of my losses. If you look at all of my TradeZella data, I have exactly a 50% win rate. If you go, my TradeZella only goes back to January of last year. But since that point, 18 months ago, I have an exact 50% win rate. But my average loss is about $140 a loss. My average win's like $72 a win. So if I just flip that with a 50% win rate, I mean, the profit factor will explode. So that's the biggest thing I'm working on right now, is not scaling my winners too quickly, only taking my first trim at 20%, not taking these micro wins at 1-to-1 R or less. Simply when I get to 1-to-1 R and we're still grinding to my first target of 20%, and then 2-to-1 R and so on, I will just set a break-even stop. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that impacts my next 100 trades. So stay tuned. I will keep you guys posted on that. But to finish off with QQQ, we have our previous day high. We have this supply zone in the middle of it as well. So this looks like a nice area for reject. We have a nice 30-minute supply zone here as well with the wick in the body. It's also 1 hour. Let's see, it's also the 1 hour wick and body as well, body and wick of the 1 hour. So all kinds of supply up here would look for a reject in this area. And again, over the previous day high, would be cautious on longs just because it's still in this supply zone. And we have another previous day high, 492 and 493. Ideally get over 493 and push up to my next resistance zone at 498. As far as support goes, we have our previous day low below that, and that is at 486. Below that, we have 484. And then underneath that, as far as demand goes, we can head over here to the 2 hour. We just have our daily gap, which we've already bounced once. So that would be as far as demand goes on QQQ. So that's going to be all my levels that I'm watching this week. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's see what happens here when the futures open up. Let's see what kind of move we get. Who knows? It could be a rocket up. It could be the opposite of what we were thinking and a rocket down. Who knows? Nonetheless, I don't care. Whichever way it goes, I'll play either side. I'll play my levels. I'll use my edge, use my system. Simple as that, and work on getting bigger winners. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have an amazing week inside and outside the market, and I'll see you all in the next watch list.